Inheritance versus interface. Whether structs support inheritance. No, structs do not support inheritance, but they can implement interfaces. What is the main advantage of using inheritance? Code reuse. Is the following code legal? Class child class, parent class A, parent class B. No, a child class can have only one base class. We cannot specify two base classes at the same time. C# supports single class inheritance only. Therefore, we can specify only one base class to inherit from. However, it does allow multiple interface inheritance. Does C# support multiple class inheritance? No, C# supports single class inheritance only. However, classes can implement multiple interfaces at the same time. Why does C# not support multiple class inheritance? C# does not support multiple class inheritance because of the diamond problem that is associated with multiple class inheritance. Say I have two classes, class B and class C, and both of these classes are inherited from class A. Now, we have another class, i.e. class D, which is inherited from both class B and class C. So if a method in class D calls a method defined in class A and class D has not overridden the invoked method, but both class B and class C have overridden the same method differently. Now, the ambiguity is, from which class does class D inherits the invoked method, class B, or class C? In order not to have these problems, C# does not support multiple class inheritance. What is the difference between interfaces and abstract classes? There are several differences between an abstract class and an interface as listed below. Abstract classes can have implementations for some of its members, but the interface can't have the implementation for any of its members. Interfaces cannot have fields, whereas an abstract class can have fields. An interface can inherit from another interface only and cannot inherit from an abstract class, whereas an abstract class can inherit from another abstract class or another interface. A class can inherit from multiple interfaces at the same time, whereas a class cannot inherit from multiple abstract classes at the same time. Abstract class members can have access modifiers, whereas interface members cannot have access modifiers as they are by default public. When do you choose interface over an abstract class, or vice versa? If we have an implementation that will be the same for all the derived classes, then it is better to go for an abstract class instead of an interface. So, when we have an interface, we can move our implementation to any class that implements the interface. Whereas, when we have an abstract class, we can share implementation for all derived classes in one central place, and avoid code duplication in derived classes. What are the advantages of using interfaces? Interfaces are very powerful. Interfaces allow us to implement polymorphic behavior. Of course, abstract classes can also be used to implement polymorphic behavior. The interfaces allow us to develop very loosely coupled systems. Interfaces enable mocking for better unit testing. The interfaces enable us to implement multiple inheritances in C#. Interfaces are great for implementing inversion of control or dependency injection. The interfaces enable parallel application development. Can an interface contain fields? No, an interface cannot contain fields. What is the difference between class inheritance and interface inheritance? Classes and structs can inherit from interfaces just like how classes can inherit a base class or struct. However, there are two differences. A class or a struct can inherit from more than one interface at the same time, whereas a class or a struct cannot inherit from more than one class at the same time. When a class or struct inherits an interface, it inherits only the method names and signatures, because the interface itself contains no implementations. Can an interface inherit from another interface? Yes, an interface can inherit from another interface. It is possible for a class to inherit an interface multiple times, through base classes or interfaces it inherits. In this case, the class can only implement the interface one time, if it is declared as part of the new class. If the inherited interface is not declared as part of the new class, its implementation is provided by the base class that declared it. It is possible for a base class to implement interface members using virtual members. In that case, the class inheriting the interface can change the interface behavior by overriding the virtual members. Can you create an instance of an interface? No, we cannot create an instance of an interface. If a class inherits an interface, what are the two options available for that class? Option 1, provide implementation for all the members, inherited from the interface. Option 2, if the class does not wish to provide implementation for all the members inherited from the interface, then the class has to be marked as abstract. What do you mean by explicitly implementing an interface? Give an example. If a class is implementing the inherited interface member by prefixing the name of the interface, then the class is explicitly implementing an interface member. The disadvantage of explicitly implementing an interface member is that the class object has to be typecasted to the interface type to invoke the interface member. An example is shown below. Namespace interfaces, interface car, void drive, class demo, car, explicit implementation of an interface member void car, drive, console, writeline, drive car, static void main, demo object equals new demo object, drive, error, cannot call explicitly implemented interface method, using the class object. Typecast the demo object to interface type car demo object. Drive, when to use interface. If your child classes should implement a but each of the child classes is free to provide its own implementation, then use interfaces. Let others also learn. Share this video in your social network. Thank you for watching this video.